Alright, I just wanted to make this video because I realized that I haven't made anything like this on my injury. So, as some of you know, I was out in Colorado, Breckenridge, Colorado, from my sophomore to my junior year in college. And while I was out there, I suffered a spinal cord injury, leaving me paralyzed from the neck down. So, what happened? I was snowboarding with a couple friends, and long story short, they went one way, I went the other, and I was going down this hill. I did this trick that I've done all over the mountain. I've literally done it hundreds of times on anywhere from greens to blues to blacks, double blacks. I've literally done it everywhere. It's just a trick that I like, I like to throw in when I just want to spice things up. So it's called a nollie, and most people probably won't really understand what that means. A nollie is essentially propelling off of the front of your snowboard, off of the nose of your snowboard, to get air. So I was going right around 35, 40 miles an hour. That was kind of my average cruising pace, and so that's kind of just an estimation, but that's, I have the app that tracks all your speed, all that stuff. So I was going down this hill, and there are these things called rollers or knuckles, depending on where you're at on the mountain. It might be called something different. And what this is essentially a natural made kind of drop off. And if you're going fast enough, you can kind of just send off of it, not even like ollie or popping up, getting in the air on your own. You can just kind of ride off of it and get a little bit of air. Well, I would do this nollie off of these rollers or knuckles or whatever, and maybe throw a grab in there. It's just kind of a fun trick for me to do, and I've done it so many times all over the mountain. So one time, and if you guys don't know what, well, you guys probably won't know the snowboard type, but it's a ride twin pig. So if after this video, well, I guess you could just pause this video now, search ride twin pig. The front and the back, like the top and the bottom of the snowboard are cut off. So it's like not a rectangle, like the snowboard isn't a rectangle, but the front or the top and the bottom are like a straight line. So that's supposed to give you more control over your snowboard and over your jumping capabilities. So one second here, I just got to make this turn. There's a lot of detours and construction going on, so there's bumps and signs everywhere. So these lines are supposed to give you a little bit more control over your jump. Well, when I was doing the nollie, it was a little bit warmer day. It was wet and a little slushy and grabby. So when I did that trick, maybe I did it just a little bit lazier than I normally would, and the front of my nose, my nose of my snowboard, the front of my snowboard, stuck into the ground, and as I'm doing this nollie, and I just went airborne, and then I landed on my neck, and all of a sudden I couldn't feel anything. I literally could not feel a single thing. And a lot of people are like, oh, that must have been so scary, that must have been painful. But it really wasn't either of those. So some of you guys watched my positivity video, the last video, but I kind of had a little bit of hopelessness, if I'm being completely honest. At first, I was like, wow, like I'm not dead. At first, I thought I died. That's a whole different story. Well, not really, but at first I thought I died, and pretty soon after I was like, okay, like I'm looking straight up at the sky. Luckily, I wasn't face down. I was looking straight up at the sky. I was like, wow, I'm paralyzed. Like, that's what this is. Like, I never thought I never thought I would have to deal with this, but it was like, it was just a little bit hopeless, or there was just like a little hopelessness in my brain. But while I was laying on the mountain, so I prayed. I did a Hail Mary. Obviously, I couldn't put a Hail Mary into Our Father. I couldn't put my hand up to. I couldn't put my hand up to my head, or like I couldn't move literally anything. But I was just like reciting it, and that was after I called for help. But shortly after that, I was like, all right, this is okay. I have my brain, and I know that I have my family, I have my friends, all of those things. So whatever happens was kind of meant to happen. And I told myself the entire time, like, it's not like I'm just laying down and giving up. The hopelessness was like, wow, like, this is crazy. Like, I never thought I'd have to deal with this. Anyway, that feeling subsides, and then I get this feeling of, like I just said, I have this is what I have. My family, I have my brain. At very minimum, I could just figure out how to monetize my brain and invest. Like, I can still invest, and I'd end up being fine, even if I could never walk again, even if I could never move again. But that obviously, that ended up not being the case. But I knew that worst possible case scenario, I was going to be fine. Fine is obviously not ideal, but fine is fine. So I just kind of, I was laying there, and once I got help, I just, I was just telling them all that the information that they need to know. And I got into the ER, or not the ER, I got into the ambulance after they, put a neck brace on me. They, took off my snowboard, my boots. I couldn't even see any of this stuff, so I'm not even 100% sure what I was wearing. Like, I really don't remember much. Well, like, I couldn't see any of that stuff, so I didn't really have the ability to remember that, obviously. So, yeah, fast forward to when I get into the ambulance and on the way to the first hospital, I feel like this. I don't know how to explain this, but like, I don't know if you can see my knee here, but like, I was like trying to go like this, like I was trying to just move anything, and eventually I felt my body kind of like rocking like this just a little bit, and I think like it was partially because of the ambulance moving, but it was also partially because I was able to like very, very slightly move my leg like one way and then the other way, and it's hard to explain and picture, but I had just the tiniest bit of movement, and I realized this is 100% possible. It's 100% possible for me to walk again. Whether that was a delusion, like that was probably some sort of delusion, but I told myself, whatever possible, potential, I'm going to realize 100% of it. There's nothing in between me and realizing 100% of my potential. So I woke up every single day. Once I was in the ICU for about 8 days, and there's a lot of stories that I have from the ICU, but fast forward to being in the rehab facility, and I'm just going to briefly explain this because I have to work out and get to work. But when I was in Rehab, I worked out every single day. I would wake up at 8, 9, like 7, 8, 9 o'clock, and I would be working out until 3 or 4, maybe even 5 o'clock. Like every single day, I was putting in, I would like to say as much effort as I could, but there were some times where I know I could have done more, but it was just like, you know, I don't think it was in my potential to really like exercise, 100% of the day, if that makes sense. But every single day, I was spending hours and hours furthering, what I think to be true and what I think to be, possible with my injury. And so none of that, absolutely none of that would have been possible if I didn't have the power of positive thinking and these positive affirmations and these quotes that I get to rely on when I'm faced with adversity. So if you guys are interested at all in a video like that, I just made a video actually on the same car ride just a little bit ago. I wanted to separate the two, but you can go check that video out right here. And with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. And tell me what you want to see in the future. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.